Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, but
Okay.
I'm using
We are set to roll now.
I'm using my phone, no, but I can see you on my computer, no, but you can go ahead and do it.
Okay, I can see you, and everyone can see and hear you. I think that's what it's saying.
Yeah, but okay, I'm using my cell phone. No. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you can start.
Let me just ask my husband if everything is okay on the other end. Why?
All right.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, everything okay. Everything okay. You can see me and hear me.
Yeah, I can see.
You can hear me.
No, I can't hear you. We can't connect.
You are not able to connect.
Yeah, we are not able to connect. All the guys are sending me that they have to connect.
But saying you are in the show, everyone can see and hear you.
Only of
But I'm using my cell phone, so on my cell phone, I can see you.
How about the old link?
that is what they are using. That's what everybody is using now.
Okay.
They are not. It's not logging. It's not allowing us to log
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
in. People have been sending emails and text messages. What's going on?
I can see why it's not on this.
Obin, can I just go leave the studio for a minute and then just connect with the other one,
Okay.
the other link?
Okay, let's do this. Let me use this one and see if we can connect to this one. Okay, can you let's do this Zoom. Can you connect to Zoom?
Okay. So
Zoom.
then
Yeah,
I'm leaving the studio with
yeah,
you and then going to Zoom.
yeah, and use the same the same code. For Zoom, there you can use the same code.
I have to write it down.
The old one, yeah, it's just circles. Those circles doesn't allow you to enter.
The old one too.
Yeah, old one. Those circles are.
Oh,
It says that the host has another meeting progress.
Because it says you are in the show, everyone can see and hear you.
yeah, people have already joined, but I'm just using my my cell phone. So on my cell phone is in here. Let's see. Okay, let's finish. Oh, okay, all right. I've seen the reason why. Okay, Mahu, the reason why they stay on.
Okay.
Okay.
Open you say well, so a few minutes.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can see you. Okay. Okay. Okay, you can go now. Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Okay.
So start. The Joyce.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Hello,
Yeah, welcome.
viewers and listeners. I want to welcome each one of you to Vital Ghana Radio and to our land information program. We really apologize for the hold up, and but I think you've been patient enough, and then we can continue and have a very good and interesting discussion on land issues in Ghana, which we have dubbed Nsaase Ho Nsem. So I again warmly welcome you to the studio and also warmly welcome you from the warm city of Accra. So I have crossed the continent, and it is Independence Day in Ghana, and I say all things are well. So we want to congratulate everybody who is a Ghanaian in the diaspora and every one of us for our 64th independence. So yes, again, we are coming to discuss land issues, and I think the more we understand about land issues, the more we'll be able to acquire property in Ghana and be comfortable being citizens of Ghana and having our heritage as Ghanaians or citizens of Ghana. Last week, we discussed a bit about stool and family lands and concentrated on it. We started a bit about adverse possession that there was a WhatsApp going around about what we call the Limitation Act, that after not working on your property, leaving it idle, and somebody comes on it, trespasses, 12 years' time, that your interest is extinguished. I explained that that is the letter of the law, and it is a defense that somebody can put up for trespassing on a particular person's land. And but I explained that that is not necessarily what how the courts look at it. In every case that goes to court, the parties have to lead evidence to their claims, and then they must state, in accordance with law, why he or she must be denied his rights. So it is not a fiat, like I explained, like a strict liability, jumping the red light. So immediately you jump the red light, a policeman can arrest you. It is not necessarily like that at all. Once you have registered your interest, you go to court and you can also protect your interest. The adverse possession is adverse in the sense that you intend to put up a house, but somebody also came and visibly was putting up a house on the place, and you did not do anything about it. So the person has adversely possessed the land against you. But if the person used it for farming, it is not an adverse possession of the land, because you can get him out of the land and still use the land for the purposes for which you intend to use it. So please know that when you go to court, you are supposed to have a fair hearing, and all the elements go into it: equity, good conscience, the rules of law, and the elements that are required to be proved must be proved. So be confident that it is not automatic, and I don't believe that is how government wants people's interests to be what? Extinguished. It is the letter of the law, but so much goes into it. And that case in which the Supreme Court mentioned it is called Boy and Others versus Ajay and Others. And when you read the case, it tells you that the plaintiff acquired the land from the chief of the area, whilst the defendant acquired land from the family. So it goes back to the discussions we had last week, that the families have their interest in the lands, which the stools, which previously thought that they had absolute control of the land, had already granted. So it becomes a clash about grants made by the stools and then competing grants also made by the families. That brings about some of these issues. So I think that is in a nutshell what I would say about adverse possession. I would also want to advise that sometimes we want to buy property for our children. So we don't go through the legal processes required for buying property, which is by buying it in trust. But we sometimes just write their names. If somebody contests your claim in the courts, the person just looks for everything and anything which can impeach you. So if he's able to deduce that, look, this son of yours in the year 2000 or 1990, he was definitely not 21 years. The legal age upon which a person can acquire property has reached the age of majority. Immediately, the court will ascribe fraud to it, and the interest of your child that you sought to protect by having a property for that child would be lost. So I would advise that, please, like I said, we buy the properties for so much sums of money. We send dollars, so much sums of money to our friends, our relatives in Ghana. But sometimes what we have to put aside to make sure that the legal requirements that are required to make a document, a legal and a valid document, we are not able to do that. We go through proxies, and sometimes we have people who may not necessarily be competent in the affairs of handling lands. They type all sorts of documents for us, and the money is gone, and then you are caught up in the trap of not knowing what to do. You can't have the money, you can't have your documents, your interest registered in the land, and it becomes a nightmare. So I encourage that, be confident and go to the lands officers. You will get somebody to talk to, the lawyers there to talk to if you think you cannot necessarily access the services of a lawyer. But I want to assure you that when you go to a lawyer, you would be taken so much care of that what you would spend can in no way be compared to the value that you get from the lawyer that you want to contact. Well, so today we are primarily going to have a discussion about title registration. I will not discuss the processes for title registration today. I'm going to do an overview of title registration, and God willing, next week we'll take up the real issues about registration processes. And I'm encouraging you that if you have any questions, please bring it up so that we can all share your issue, bring up the contributions or the discussions about it, and we will all be empowering ourselves by having a learning process on land issues. So I encourage you to call in, to bring in your questions so that we can all share and empower ourselves on land issues. So I in the overview that I did about 3 weeks ago, I said the whole country was started with deed registration until 1986, when due to the problems that were involved in deed registration, which we are going to look at, government decided to do a pilot about title registration. So title registration, the law on title registration was passed in 1986, and it was operated basically in the greater part of the Greater Accra region as a pilot until it was extended to all the parts of Greater Accra region and other parts of the country. When we look at the memorandum to the law, PNDC Law 152, it states some of the reasons why the government thought it that gradually Ghana should move from deed registration to title registration. So when you look at the memo, I'm going to list some of the things that was stated as being weaknesses in the deed registration under Act 122. So some of the reasons that are listed in the Act 122 include litigation. And I explained that this registration basically just involved documents that are registered, put in a register. Documents that are put in a register. It was not put on spatial data for the land to be the reference point to enable somebody access the information in case he does a search. So it was basically just the documents which were put in a register, and then numbers allotted to it. So once the number is allotted to it, it is deemed that it is noticed to the world, but you can only access that document only when you have that number, and it just gives you clerical information. You cannot get spatial information about it. So the same land can have 2 or 3 or 4 documents on the same land being registered. Whilst title registration is linked directly to the land, so there can be only one title holder or legal owner of a piece of land at a point in time. So invariably, there were lots of litigations, and it was one of the cures that title registration sought to give by having one document covering one piece of land and one legal owner of the land. And then I explained that under deed registration, the maps were not accurate. They were not scientific as we have them now. Identification of lands were not, therefore, you could not therefore know the exact boundaries of land. It is not like we have GPS, etc. now that surveyors use. In the past, I don't know if you ever met a surveyor, they used tapes. You had to pull from one point to the other. So those were some of the weaknesses in the deed registration that the law sought to improve by title registration. And some of the reasons for which title registration was promulgated was that the law on title registration was promulgated was to give certainty and facilitate the proof of title. To give certainty and facilitate the proof of title. So to give certainty was to the effect that when you show your land certificate, in law we call the prima facie, that is, on the face of it, you are deemed to be the owner of a particular piece of land, without necessarily even the person going to have a search. They say, oh yes, I have seen your land certificate. So maybe, all things being equal, you are the legal owner of the land, and the records will reflect your interest. It was also to make dealings in land safe, simple, and cheap, and also to prevent fraud on purchases. I think that one day we will all do a survey and be able to find out whether the law has been able to achieve its objectives. So title registration goes under the ambit that it is the land itself and not the document that is the reference of registration. I repeat it. It is the land itself that is the reference of registration, but not a document. So the land is placed on the folio of the land register as a unit of property, and all transactions affecting that particular piece of land are recorded by reference to the land itself. And as I said earlier, once you have the land certificate, it was a bar to adverse claims because of the processes that goes on, the rigorous processes of investigation of title before a land certificate is issued. I would just want to have some discussions about the history behind title registration in Ghana. I have said earlier that it was done in stages, and the intent of the law was to have what we call systematic registration, title registration. So a particular piece of area would be circled out, like Middletown, and then the surveyors, the lawyers, the whole structure about the registration process is what limited to that area. And then the people are giving notice that systematic registration is going on in this area. Therefore, at a particular point in time, we are going to come to your house. We would want to inspect the property. We are going to look at the documents that you have. And then we will look at the plans that are in it, whether it coincides with the land on which you are sitting on. So when you come, we come to your house like plot number 23. We expect that a land that is in Kokomlemle will not have documents from a chief who is from Labadi. So the lawyers will look at it and say, yes, it's true. We'll investigate and trace the title and look at the root of it to see the authenticity of it, that, oh yes, in 1970, it was this chief who was the chief of this area, and he gave the land to Mr. Mensah, and Mr. Mensah too has given it to his son. We will then look at the physical boundaries of the land as noted in the site plan. So if your document has the site plan it's saying that it is 1 acre, you cannot claim that on the land you have 1.5 acre. So when it is measured and it comes to bear that you have more than 1.5 acre, you would be told that you are the legal owner of 1 acre only. You cannot be the legal owner of 1.5. Because you did not buy land from the chief covering 1.5 acre, but you bought land from the chief covering 1 acre. A plan will therefore be drawn to reflect the actual interest that you acquired from the chief. So if you cunningly thought that maybe you had gone to an area that was virgin, or you were the first person to go to an area, so you extended your boundaries to title registration, your physical location will be looked at vis-a-vis the plan that is in your document, and you'll be restricted to the land that was given to you by what? The chief. And also, because the documents in the deed registers were not accurate, there was a disparity between the physical location of the land and the plan as it is reflected in your document. A quick example would be that when you go to Coles, maybe your land is at Coles, but when we look at the grid values of your land as in your document, we would come to realize that the land is located at Apoquinimic High School. And so you would see that what the surveyors would say that it has thrown you off 1,000 feet away. We were able to have some of those cases. When it happens like that, the actual plan is drawn, and we could do what is normally done is called a composite plan. It will tell you where your land is physically located on the plan and where your plan, which is erroneous, is saying that you are. If there are no other encumbrances, the plan will then be drawn properly to show that, yes, you have a land which physically is at Coles. But when your plan showed that it was Apoquinic, but now we are making sure that the plan and where you are physically are one and the same thing, so that it is in sync. A systematic registration tool was to give opportunity for neighbors to be questioned, so that when you come and you say that these are your boundaries, your neighbors are there and they'll be able to vouch for you that indeed we've been a neighbor to this person, and his boundary does not encroach into mine, and then the officials of the registry will be able to go ahead and get the necessary information they want, put it on the prepare the plan, parcel plan, or the cadastral plan that is required to start the registration process in your interest. The documents are also looked at, and as I said, we trace what we call in law the root of title. We trace the root of title. A quick example I'll give is that if you claim to be a Ghanaian, you would have to trace your root of titles to somebody who was a Ghanaian. Your father or your grandfather was a Ghanaian. That is how we'll say that we trace the root of title. So we're able to say that, yes, you got it from Mr. Mensah, and Mr. Mensah also maybe acquired the land from the rightful chief at that point in time. Unfortunately, because of issues that came up, it was realized that a lot of times when you go to the developed areas, because that is where systematic titling was intended to start, at least in the areas that were developed, it was realized that when you go to a particular piece of property, the people you will find there are not the actual owners of the land. It will be tenants. And they were not therefore in a position to answer questions concerning the issues about title or documentation. Somebody will even say, well, I don't know who is the owner. I got the land from Mr. So and so and so. In a lot of ways, that is what defeated the systematic title registration. Because when you go on the ground, the actual owners of the land were not there. And nobody was ready to entrust his legal title to a tenant and say that when the officials of title registry come, show to them that this is I am the legal owner of the land. So that frustrated in a lot of ways systematic titling. That led to what we call sporadic registration, where everybody was encouraged to register their titles on the land. And we can also see that in our country, planning is not in tandem with development. As we go around Middletown, at the outskirts of Middletown, we can see developments going on. And you can see that the whole place is laid out, roads and the cables and all the things that are required to make the place either a residential area or commercial area are put in before people are asked to come and purchase the property, or people are physically put in. But in our country, what we can see is that development goes ahead of planning. So the first person who is able to acquire land and says that, yes, I've got land at maybe Dodowa, the outskirts of Dodowa, Apollonia, wherever it may be, and he says, I'm ready to stay in the land, there is no light, the person invariably carves a road in front of where his property is. And that becomes a road that people will be using. But when you juxtapose this, or when you make this, you compare this to the road that is on the plan at maybe town planning, you would realize that that is not where the road was intended to be put. So with time, you realize that the whole intent of maybe the plan as it is held in the town and country department or by the district assembly is thrown out of gear because people build their own roads, construct roads that can give them access to their own lands. Let me say to you for there, say Yankomodie no, you say you behwe adekronti a ban hu say ho behia say the title registration ebeba. Enkomodie yenya last week no me try say first no na my money na na ne wo bremu about registration ne e ni deed registration. Na no document ne register document inti asase ba ko sebe sa ahemfo miensa anase nipa miensa na atonton asase na dia ma nkrofo a omo miensa ni omo kwa a yem bi se omo asem bia ye be register mom if say that time no na akwantre ni ho se say ye de o plan to ye master plan so na etrotro odin wo so se sa asase e plot number 27 yi ye kwesi mensa dia na sa nhehye no eni ho enti ma asase ba ko behwe no ho asemba ka obenya nkrofo mienu miensa anan a omo kura saa asase na omo pese omo ye den omo nso omo ye den omo kasa ye omo dia na me sha ase nso say this registration no ampatete no so na omo ni GPRS a ye wo bi sese ya ye di adwuma GPS omo di adwuma ye wo bi sese no first na surveyor call asase so otwite ba ko gina ha na obi so gina na fa ha na ye twitwi tape no kakra saa na omo di akọ enti pempi no na plans na na ewo deed registered documents na enye papa it was until 1960 however no ansa na lands department Esther Efiase say oba ye do plan no ebeto master sheet ni so na ehwe na asem bie ni ho a omo de wudin ahye map no so na ye ne plotting no ndima etire se opkasa oba be ye search a wehu din ewo so enti aban hu say ama asase ho nsem ne sebe ne ka eya na ye kana kakra enti aban timi hu say nkro bi omo ye title registration no eno no asase na nkasa na eden ye de to map no so na bibia ye wo sa particular asase no ya ma asase ne number enti bibia ye wo sa asase no so it is reference obroni beka say it is reference ene na ye den ye de ahyensode enti obi aka say oh makoto asase anase makoto asase a ye friend plot number 21 a plot number 21 no sa ahyensode no ene be wo ho odekoji loan obi fufo begio there will be a register or title officer you will see all those records there enti aban hu say ono so bo modern yen so Ghana fiase kakra na oye bia ebeboa enti aban fiase what we call is a pilot say obey ne kakra bi no ahwe say say na mran kan ye no saa na yestumi eye ho adwuma na say esuehu bi so wo mu a ya fa ansana ye de akọ wide scale anaya ye ne kese enti na eno no na nke no aban ne be ne friend systematic registration enti na nka oba apotem baabi ba kwa bi alabadi potem ho na sebi ho no yesisi ase adan enti na nka aban ne ba aban mpanyifo lands fo ne ba no matimi ahu say okay asase ye wa hai ehwanum na ewo so ye kire na yakasa munkrata wa he na ahwe plan ni mu say asase a wogiye no plan ni mu no ebi 1 acre ampa 1 acre pa so na wo na ho na watwa ho fence na eno so na wasi wasa dan no so ana say ebi a wo na obeto oba krom ho kan enti wadwe asase ne kese esen na ohene de ma wo no eno ne yesa na efi aban de plan papa obey plan your friend either parcel plan and a cadastral plan na no na embrem accurate scientific plan nti eno no na say track bie ni ho nti ye no na efi ya hwe aban ahwe wo documents ni mu say ampa as document e wo kure ohene ode ma wo no ono na oyo ohene e wo ho emremu ana asem bie ni ho de efi ye de akwakotu document ye de akoto records ni so nti with time no efi obi be search a obi de obi hu say wudin na e de e wo ho na so na ba enso e wo this registration is say esanse na plans na ewo mu na nye papa ni nti no ebi wo ho ana wasas na wo medevie mfato say wasas na wo be e friend Coles shop yemi na e call Coles e wo Middletown but asase na nkasa pa de Apokwenimik High School MT enya feedback akra enti wohwa plan so no baby asase ne wo no pachem se enya feedback akra wohwa plan so baby asase ne wo no enye oho na ugina asase na nkasa so a ewo oboni because there's disparity ewo obi wo ho a Severe Bibaka also to baby at 1,000 feet. Of your great values now what plan is why it is quite different from the physical location of the land. Into a normal home if they are buying a plan papa scientific plan no na no na yɛde title registration nti na nka ban susu ni sɛ nkakra benya plans papa yɛbenya the legal records to it say o ampa onipa kono asase ɛwɔ no no or legal title to it ɔhene ɔde ma no no ɔno ɔyɛ ɔhene papa ɔno ɔwɔ hɔ na ɔtɔn ma mensa na mensa nso ebi ɔde ama onipa kono ɔwɔ hɔ sesei no na nka records na kakra yɛtumi build up records na sene be ochine bi obi aba be search to do have been about a very easy process be ade a enye den nke etimi eden atimi ay searches no sene abrofo ye chimi hu obi bi e wo no se okwa akoye search enya ade edi obi adin wo ho plan ya ye ne fefefe plot number 21 plot number so and so Sally Lane and I say what Crescent Avenue bibia wo ho fefefe ma watimi hu se e wo title records na obehu bibia wo ho sa na me try ase nso say mpempi no development went ahead of planning say na ye kan obrofo mu no enti say na ye hu wo bebi ye wa say ba be si dan a ana say ba be baby residential area ye bomodin a ban ne de bibia hihye mu ana say company na esi dan no obi hu bibia cables roads access roads electricity bibia gas bibia ye fixing na esi kro no ewie ansa underground name ni na ansa na o ma start ya dey aka say oje mortgage a ye si dan na ma ye ha ye kroma de ye be nyina beti ase ana yetimi say entesa wo na woto wasase a no wadi kan wako na ne se be wabo ho modern wapɛ kwan bi kakra wo fa so a na ye kwan de akosi wo fie nti mpempi no ya na ebi wo ho a se na chrono develop no enye sa na nka planning department for no omopepe se nka ebeye nti na ya ade ewo ho oben so okọ ba bi oben na oben nwan ya ansa na wakohu efie bi a na de opese okọ nti sa na eme nyina nti na yetimu se na ayede aban ntimi anye systematic title no na ma ho so ye twa kan pa ne se okọ ba bi a otimi ho se onipa kono wa asase no so no obeka cho se enyo no ye asase ni wura oye tenant wo so enti nsema obi se ni na ontimi yiwa no na menyi ni so obi de ne asase ne krata ho documents ne original documents and the documents ebe ma ne tenant enti abantimi hu se sana na nkope so systematic title na kakra ye osu ne abalabade ne akonungwa ne akotishi no wentimi anya ne sa because obekwa areas no ana obekwa potem ho no nkofo eti asase no so ubisa mo ho nkrata nsem na omuntimi ye de omuntimi yi ano enti ne bae ne se na sese ye den sporadic registration of title registration sporadic ne say obia de ne krata aba na fe ye fiase na make us next week na me aduma will go into title registration the processes involved in title registration and me pese me chase so say emremu no say wo plan say baby o asase ne wo any baby a plan so kire say wasase wa there is a disparity and na embo ebura no emremu no kai say na ukona yeko bibi efe ne deed of variation into ba lawyer for why ebe nka ebe deed of variation amount into no deed of variation no ye ka abakosem no say oh me be gi asase wo labade hini ho na me gi asase no plan ye de ma me yetimi hu say plan enye papa plan obontina ye be plan for amount na plan so no bon say na ya ahensode ebi wo ho a na ye no green na ache say plan we sa baby ya shade ni green no oho na asase no eda a kire say ohene de ma wo but ya ba asase na nkasa so at the rightful place of asase no bi oni a shade ni red na ache say fe asase na nkasa ohene de ma wo no ene baby a plan no eniniye it is the same thing now into ufa sa deed of variation you are able to know what went wrong but in PNP no me say enkofo intimi nye deed of variation no into true title registration no that process is corrected into a lot of times no odo application be na say be composite plan because baby our SARS ne da no ene na your plan so are two quite different things into na ye never sa no and I would want to encourage to say Oh, did register documents cry. SSL wo bomode na ode de okoye title registration. Mpanyifo ni bebree na say ye papa no ma na ye maame no omo toto nsase ewo meamai bebree omaye ho papers a emremu no and tete mbra na meka under dit registration no omaye ho krata nanka aban pese oye ni say nka omo dit registered documents ni na nke do mo din ba be hye title register no so if say omo di mbra so aye did registered documents no but aban ntimi anye sa nhyehyɛ no was part of systematic title registration aban ntimi anye sa telephone we addresses ni sa na many na we the title officers could just not go about deed registration say na nke person conversion obroni bekas conversion say na deed registered documents ni say ni ye da ne no abaye the title registration enti na nka wudin ene wo plan records no nke de beto special records ni so na anya adesua amobia but the government wasn't able to do that because there was just not the machinery obroni bekas machinery ho akade no na eni ho abaye ntimi anye survey ni nyina ahia no ena ade wohwehwe information so addresses na ewo so no utro cry na akoto baby people had moved on into the government wasn't able to do that. So I just want to encourage everybody say me pamocho mombo mode amomi se bisa mo papa no mo ka cho so na me wa asase ho document ni a esese otimu asase o Greater Accra region baby esese nkofo pie na etimi toto nsase no na esese obo mode na ode de odekọ aban so eho no baby omo ye title registration no na ofi process na se what is our document na ide ekoho na odi free process na se enye sa na eba ne se ebi wo ho a se na make about plans no ye be kwa akohwe no na obi edin eni ye special records ni mu ewo title registration office ho enti obi a ohene fofo ebe de eton asase ne de ma no ono timi ede enya ho kwan ma o ede okọ register if so who crack the document na ye deed registered documents na make us deed registered documents na asase ba ko nipa mienu miensa eden etiminya document e was asase ne kura so enti wo wandi kan anko register nhyehyɛ wo ho ni se omo ko fiase na omo anya obi ambeka ho asem se onye obi contest was asase ne so asemesi Mr. Santia ono ode ni document aba no ye be ya ama no enti na ebi a won so wasase no ohene bi so eton the same land edemawo a audit registered document but insan say because you were not first in time ninti no yentimi anye den yentimi register am farm enti I will encourage everybody say mombo modern na monye den mombo modern na monko eden mombo modern fiase na all documents na bo no momfa nko na yen start enfan to register no so enye sa hwe ya dache wote ho na obi abeka akire wo say asase na wote so no ne dia ena mebo modern so etufo say etimu say sanse pempi no ye wa kwantu omunti no we do what we call proxy documentation and by proxy ne etimi adwuma obi na eboa yen ye gya ye chima ye nuanom ye gya ye chima ye namfo ye gya ye chima nkrofo so omonye document enye den emfa ma ye na ewo mu ni se eye mpempi no esan se eye na mi se mo pese mo ba lawyer ho a mo ntimi mbenti no ye de command nkrofo a omonim de ewo documentation ho on land entu behwe ni abo document ni ebibi ema ohene no why den wasign ni na won so why den wasign ni o de call lands office ho a wontimi ye den en register na nieme bi a enye se wo document ma na se nieme ehia se wo ebe wo document ebe a hyensode se ampa woto asase efiesi mesi ho aseme nsusu wo illegal interest of ebia 99 years and 50 years expire there are a whole lot of things that are involved omo eden omo ntimi enye den enhwe ne sa emfa ama enti be hwe na wo de sika kutu akoye de akoto asase no but krata ye de abre wo se ye den sign no enye na esese wo ho yetimu se bi so wo ho a na ye de wo address a ewo amanone na ide ena ewo document ne so emra bi ama ho kwan sa wontimi nkoto property wo baby aye wo yi Delaware New York Maryland Now where you so address Ghana de na document the amount. And in pay, but in paying pino, it's say be a name so many I to us as a man or a manonino. Near this only per corner address a woman manonino, edia abo document no. Oba o the back lands for office no on bed on boegu. If you say I buy intimate the cost that is involved in maybe postage, but by law it is not acquired. It is not, that is not what it's supposed to be. Ebi so or ebi or how better document we are born say agreement for lease. In so agreement for a lease, any lease itself, they are two different things. They are two different things. I will encourage you say, Mobomodia, Mufasika Kutuni Kotosa, and say registration process. So, the last time we bought so kakra, next week we'll go into details about all those things. Now, I registration processes every. And yes, sir, what is it is that Obi and ye na etimi say no de ekoso ye man mu obi fufu timi koton asase no na okoye search no obi edin wo ho a na otimi de chopa koso obi edin wo eni ho nti de to na ye den ye be document ama obehwe no nipa kono so akoye document wo asase bi so na oti amano ni ho a wonim se wo so ato asase wo Ghana ana se enkran ha den nsuna bi a den won sesi fom ochina bi ubeba wo so wo kwa asase no so no na akoye den akoye ntokwa. Secondly, so I would advise to say, so be a case o ye bibia mamwa. Eya mombo modia NG receipt no. Say dear nyamiadom iPhones na dia bent. It is so easy to pass on information. The information mo be it is so very easy. And to so in so be the documents na akolance office no. Otwisika nkwa de it will be acknowledged. Abrofumu no yebeka say acknowledged. Until a receipt will be given. And then the vital records that are required on that piece of a transaction will be put there. Within NABA, job number, location of the land, it will be put on a piece of paper. Bra title registration fee, and I think someone now Martin, and I can say yellow card. If you want to be a say, oh, what's us no one for ye, then yellow card, Debbie. Yellow card ni mfiase kra na de bia na me de meka say yellow card no it say the hospital card a reference acknowledgement reference card and wukra anytime I obeba no wukra sa card ne nko ade a obia betimi ayeden akohwe wo records ehun say o adwuma no say wo survey ana say wo registrar ne ho a oba be ye adwuma wo so te say na wo hospital a wo do hospital card tumu a nurse ekofa wo card ba no. That was basically what the yellow card was meant for. Etimi pamucho say afutu enkwa na etimi to ye trimun there me gidi say na eden yesua bibi me say obia oye adwuma bia ma obia so register wasase no wo say wokwa bomodian metwa photo na famami. Once you have that any a cheso said den kra da wankasa obeba Ghana kroma no be den obetimi be bisebisase na ye touchwood na onipa kuna oil document na ma oka baby bibi to ne otu kwan na wo say sifom. You don't have a copy of, we need a copy of the document at all. Into what will be your reference point? I would be say, oh, me to assassi, you a copy of the document. Into me the befe jumanasi. Pampini and the grant I could did for. But at least if you have a receipt, on the bakoni deal no credit, no call or do call document, no call send a friend a lodging or the call lands office owner. No trace you can to start the registration process. The person should have a receipt. Me pacho on trust our receipt no fan say a friend acknowledgement card sana omo friend no ewo lands office so acknowledgement card na why then wetimi I then one kase wetimi usampa ezuma esimesi card say wakoye no we fi ase enchenche ubomode na udru ha obetimi bebisa ho asem emi send them me say my bomodin say me be akire mo adekrunti aban card say yenye title registration entina deed registration wo ho. But aban say yenye title registration and crime potemo hanyina de title registration office. Obi o question bi am say me ho me so kakra na we bisa question and as a contribution bi ana obi ewo asem bi opese oka e bi a Nsaase Ho Nsem bi bi a na to no abobo a na ewo ma na bibisa onipa ko ne timi de kan se na me kan na ye nyina ye esua de e won sasesem ho na kakra obi a hye ne sapo mu nsuo na otimi de ayeden ehu ne sese oye won sase ho nti em se me hu me so kakra na se obi wo question bi a wetimi
Oh, so Obi per se Obi sa question. I said on mute the mic, you know. Unmute your mic. No Obi sa. Dr. Sam, I'm say where you know it's muted. And Prisla, so audience is muted.
say we are not getting any questions as at now.
COVID,
Any questions?
5 minutes. Why?
We are not getting any questions
Let's go back in 5
of
minutes.
now.
Mm-hmm.
If I chose any first time I will show now, say that if you are saying no, me that me when they say for about a year ago, I was na me a lawyer, na me a registrar, so our land registry ho. But she said the me will hope you. I have my own legal consultant. Me the juma, me juma. And I am speaking not as a staff of land registry. I'm speaking in my own right as a land lawyer with a vast experience in land administration and land documentation. And if there's anything question be or and I say if you want to know what you have to do, the legal process that are required for registration to acquire land, you have issues on land, you have problems, and you are able to get in touch on phone or on WhatsApp or through this medium now, we will be able to see how we help you. And then we can be able to see how we resolve the issues that may be confronting you. And I just want to put it on record, say I am here in my capacity as a land lawyer. I am not speaking as a staff, a registrar or lawyer of the land registration division. Okay, say question
Okay.
be any what
me a question.
you
I do.
Mpacho
Where Priscilla?
obetimi abo okay Mpacho Priscilla you Priscilla Mpacho ye
Okay. Ain't you know, in the first place, thank you for doing this, because sometimes, say most of you are waha say I am back Ghana in a long time now. Yeah, like it becomes very cumbersome. It becomes more like a daunting task, because won't take as it like what you're supposed to be doing. It's like for starters, this is a really good thing you're doing, and thank you for doing this and educating us on what the process is. Meaning so can be about yellow card, and I apologize if I have to ask you the same question, but yellow card, I know so can be about say it is the beginning of everything. Ain't say was I say, and then you don't have the yellow card. What do you do?
Okay. Brought title registration if you here in about 1986 up until the year 2015 government shemu kena say obey digitization
Mhm.
uko bebia na uko lodge odo documents called land registry hona Tema or Accra you were given the yellow card and any ashensu dia na say odo documents aba lands office so say yenye ho adwuma no ana yen register name our title also. That was the cardinal thing. That was the we ahyensude wo ho. Enti obia obeka say or the documents about land registry. Now so no nkra yellow card between the years of 1986 up to about 2015. And the na emise onipa kro no on sheda ntiase ana se no onim na se so ye ana on processes no okra mu no ondru ho ye. Say last week we talked about the beginning of the processes. Next week we'll go through all those things all over again. Yes, at the moment, a buying who say digitization, a large volume of work can go on. Now, me share say some time ago say, deed registration, manual environment, one na because nipa baako sign nipa ho de ahe enti me manfa to bi po say first pa no so bi kura obekwa ma no ne kwa akoye ho papers wo fie kese ni mu a mo yema visa na you have to carry a lot of documents but say because of digitization the IT world we are in barcode no a lot of information is stored on that and any intent of government to do that and between 2015 you are not giving the yellow card but you are giving the acknowledgement card. You are giving the acknowledgement card because it is printed out of what printers. Into a yellow card the edema bill. But so Obi Culture will say, the year 2000, although the document about land registry, land title registry. Now when yellow card and fanchawa. And the name is say either so on tiase and I say a jumoya maun on fendru hoye. Enti na me bold the rule say obia so obi so ye adwuma bia ma wa wo dey ask for the receipt office bia aban office bia ye official work bia dey sebe ye ma receipt intina ulo you'll be given the receipt to cover it now records was a job number would any information in here or be uber office na obia gisa acknowledgement card no ananka first na yellow card na obia betimi aboa na wa access system na catch so document say no a drew a registrar no ana a drew baby omo ye plan no ana a drew baby omo ye munhwehwemu e wo office bi ana ya query ana say be objection was so ye betimi akeka sa asemi na acho but so won kra bibi receipt na acknowledgement card ana tete no yellow card na aye say aye ade den aye den kakra obi pese oboa kwa oye den ontimi emboa Priscilla mintimi hu say mmoa a ohwehwe no eno na media ma wo na na
But no now there, mama.
okay.
That's it.
Next week we will seriously look at the processes involved in title registration. What you should be looking out for. Every time I remember studio, Vital Ghana Radio at the home, I'll be repeating the same things. Important things in here about documentation or land documentation. We'll be repeating them. Mistakes need build. So I'll just give a summary of what it is, a brief of it. Say wunya surveyor no then accurate plan. Accurate plan. I mean the last time the plans be by next week I'll repeat it. Because they do a plan no surveyor na ye kra na onye say endi mu ye o the balance officer obe query they assign the word the ama say we utua kana de wi a o be court wa stampo say enya feedback akra na ukra plan na wa yes search to force de bia so metu for say obeto asase bia but modern yes search. Get a good plan and do a search. Get a good plan and do a search. Get a good plan and do a search because a bit me you will free how be dream. A bit me you will free how be dream. Me bacho So there's a question here. Meti obi so background na so obisa question bi. Mpacho question up so obisa odi to dwa na so that you open up the question me etimi na etimi e etie na se mwa bi wo wa yetimi dia mawana.
Yeah, lawyer the saying
Mpacho boko.
Dr. Samuel.
Okay, hello doctor. Welcome.
Well, thank you. You know, now you say a process now. Land registration organ no standard and is it standardized for fans say is it the same process in other regions? So what takes
It
place
is
per
not
class?
it okay, thank you for that question. It is not standardized. Me say Michelle about last week or last 2 weeks, he said there are two types of registration in the country. A deed registration and a title registration. Deed registration and title registration. Deed registration are the fee. It is in all the other parts of the country except Accra, Greater Accra region. Now some parts of the central region, a Futu area, a Futu Gomo, a Futu area, and some parts of Kumasi, part 1, Edum area. Otherwise, the whole of the country, the rest of the country, is under deed registration. Is under deed registration. In the title registration, it is limited predominantly to the Greater Accra region. Greater Accra region, the whole Greater Accra region is a registration district. The whole of Greater Accra has been declared a title registration district. Into Greater Accra, and yet deeds registration, and then Then Mr. Dr. Michelle Mukakra, and I'm just saying next week we'll keep repeating the same important information. Off the cuff, you'll be able to know, say this registration, and this is what is involved. Yeah, title registration, so this is what it is. Mrs. Edit registration, Ubeja of documents for Nina was stamped at the office, Koforidia office, Cape Coast office, Second D office, Sunyani office, Wa office, Ubeja for Nina. At Greater Accra region, there for title registration, you get only one, say family lander documents no baako pɛ near their title registration. Enti wo copies ni na yɛde bɛma wo. The na ɔhene no ma wo 4 copies na wa stamp a yɛde 3 other copies na ɛbɛyɛ almost sign the ma wo. Na efi aka baako pɛ a yɛde yɛ adwuma for title registration districts no. Enti ɛne sɛ ɛno na mɛpɛ sɛ mobɛhyɛ so so that you will know say the title registration there you use only one of the documents. That's what the office
Okay, thank you. My wife for question.
Welcome.
Na details say difference ben wo detail no ye den na title no ye den ni nyina difference wo ma na
I'm say Dr. and Mrs. Asamoah mo next week baby mo obi a no mo etie.
Yeah, this is the first time. This is the first time
Oh yes, you are welcome. You are welcome. Next week, no, me the copy of land certificates, beba, me the deed registered documents, so beba na ma bomodea they are so FDA so mama who difference no. And to Mrs. Asamoah, just to answer you briefly, no. Obi a woto asase a ohene no normally no ohene na family head no ano nipa ko to asase no ma wo no o ma 4 copies yet 4 documents no 4 ene e de ma wo eno no mremu no ana say legally you can say ye deed ne ade a ya tro so all those things are documents ebinom ska say indenture na tete no law na wo ho no e friend deed registration
yeah
na no deed no is a document and no name fan say so I will just substitute the word deed for document registration.
okay.
If I say untuka deed registration, it means document registration.
Yeah.
It will document ye babe register at the amount.
Okay.
Na me try say teteno na no ye di na share register mu. Ni enfan to map so.
Okay.
Yemfa wo plan no any wo particulars to map so. Enti wo credit registered documents no. But until 1960 no okoye search was so ye hu maame asase no ni din wo ho. And any deed registration, but in Remuno, that was what was supposed to be done, and it is still operative as now in all parts of the country except what
Accra.
The processes have been improved because the documents they insist on the correct plan and all those things. The little difference I make us shortly and Sana Ebepon is say with title registration on any number of 4 documents. The title office EFA documents na ebaako. Now there are processes mu dear enquiries na yɛ plan a yɛfrɛ no parcel plan no na efe registrar anaasɛ n'aban ahyɛ no ɛma no tumi no ɔde ne nsa ahyɛ aseɛ na wama wo certificate, so you hold a certificate in your hand, a certificate in your hand which makes you the legal owner of that land. And it has come to replace the document and now ukram.
Okay.
And then the title registration, it replaces the document. The amount land certificates now. So all cast document or assassin. So you don't go and show the deed documents no, and then chanibio. What the land certificate in a proof call where banker and I say your transaction be no nipa so documents was as no when on confa no hene de ma what the title deed no land certificate and then a share there we a legal owner of that land. Now, next week we'll talk about the sending who here some because I know say you are now say passport and who some doors.
Okay.
We will look at all those things next week. So that we can all learn what is involved in registration and the differences that go along with it and what you should be looking out for. You will reduce your risk to the barest minimum. You reduce your risk to the barest minimum. Yes.
Now, see, what's at the office? No, auntie, sometimes will be any of these types of documentation. Will be to me. I shall say, I process your money.
You bet me a boamo,
Okay.
Let me say we sent the flyers round into for the program now. You will see my WhatsApp number. No, you can always get me on the WhatsApp number and to say who you be documents no person the bread na me sha okra pen na obetimi afa the WhatsApp number me use to Ghana han 0264 257 030.
Okay. All right.
Yo.
03.
Yeah, that's a
Minim was a Ghana mumu.
It's na make us a michiamo free warm Accra adwuma no bia ntini aba ha no so that ebekọ aba na adwuma wo ha na eba be ye ni asan aba Bidelta beka upanyi Kwame Saka ho na adwuma esese ye no yetimi aye ne nyina yetimi aboaboa ye ho na asomdwe a yepɛ wasase ho yetimi aye den yetimi anya.
Yeah. That's a sure.
I'm saying in the absence of any question, I'm saying the next program we must apologize. In the beginning, we had a bit of technical hitch kakra, but we hope say it didn't spoil the discussion and you were able to be part of it. Additional dear kakra woman, wait me enya. And next week we will continue from where we left off. Because the issues are recurrent, no, and I can last week about family lands, needs 2 lands, no. The best thing bro subium, send a be say document here will cry a family land dear. It's then a buy mra says so we now when so be a family land into a buy mra no says necessary here. I shan't so dear one name until we time we'll be able to learn all those things and they will be able to know what we have to do. And no be car same be a chrel assassin one. Also to me who say, oh, there be, and me say, yes, say, oko land registry ho dia ye nje won documents ni na ye je ba kope enti na che say me de ba na aka no ewe he you can be able to ask questions say be betimi aboa ma o documents na be say da no e de ato ho e de am. On that note, I want to say big thank you to all of you who who listen in on the Vital Radio, and those who were able to log in, zoom in, and be part of us for today's program. I thank you very all, and God willing, we'll meet again next week. More information on land issues in Ghana, Nsaase Ho Nsem, so that we can be empowered to know what we have to do on transaction. Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.